Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's webinar. Before we dive into the session, I would quickly like to understand if I'm audible. So if I'm audible, please type a yes in the chat box. Also, if you have any questions regarding GRE quantitative ability, please do mention on the chat box so that we could address all your questions by end of the session out there. So I'll just wait for a couple of confirmation to come in. I hope I'm audible. So now that we are moving ahead, thank you so much for your confirmation. A quick, run through about Galvanize Global Education, who we are and what exactly we do out there. So Galvanize Global Education has been helping students for their study abroad dreams right from the basic step, that is, taking the test for GRE, IELTS, TOEFL or SAT. And not only that, we have a team of experts helping students for their admission counseling, wherein we help them for their bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degree out there. And yes, of course, Galvanize is at your back for your last minute assistance with respect to helping you get in touch with the right loan provider, foreign exchange, and many such activities. Well, we're very happy to share that Galvanize Global Education is actually founded and managed by alumni from top universities like Stanford, Harvard, IIT Madras, and IIM Ahmedabad. And we are happy to share that 65 plus countries have chosen Galvanize in their journey of higher education. That may be either test prep or the admission services out there. Galvanize has helped students globally. And not only that, we have helped our students get placed across 1,000 plus universities across 18 plus countries out there. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you would be watching your dream destination out there on the screen. And Galvanize would be really glad to help you reach to your dream destination out there. Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are quite active in Quora or looking for answers for various other segments out there. And a lot of you have been looking for, to know more about good test prep providers out there, or admission counseling services out there. And here I have shared the link in the chat box, and I would request you to take a look at the Quora thread, because this is something which students have shared about their journey with Galvanize, either for the test prep or the admission counseling part out there. And a lot of you might be aware of the mobile applications of Galvanize. If not, I would really, urge you to go and take a look at the mobile applications, because these are really amazing. And, you would be coming across a lot of new vocabulary words out there in an easy way of learning, with a lot of pictorial representation and many more such easy way tricks to, build your vocabulary very strong out there. Moving forward, I would like to quickly run the first poll right here, wherein we would like to understand So please describe the stage you are in with your GRE test prep currently. I would quickly want you to take a note of this poll. Great. A lot of you are still preparing. So I'm pretty sure this session is going to be quite beneficial for you. A lot of you are thinking of taking the GRE test. Okay. A lot of you have booked the test. Great. So with that, I would like to end the poll here. Moving forward, we have something exclusive for today's attendees. So all the attendees of this webinar will get a discount of up to 25%, which one can avail while registering for the ETS GRE exam. Well, if you would like to know more about this thing, please stay tuned, because we will be sharing a profile evaluation form link shortly by, end of the session. And if you could fill in the form, we could get in touch with you and give you more details about how you can avail this offer. And not only that, in case you would like to know, about this webinar, or, you would like to know more about what are the other webinars that have been hosted by Galvanize, please do subscribe for our YouTube channel. I've shared the link here. I'm also sharing the link in the chat box. Once you subscribe for the YouTube channel of Galvanize, you can attend the previous webinars that have been there, and also be updated with all the webinars that we will be conducting going forward out there. Well, this is some about your host for today's webinar. we have with us Sowmiya Subramaniyam, who's the curriculum manager, and she's done her MS from San Jose State University. And a little bit about her, well, you could see she's got immense years of experience, 15 plus years of experience out there, in software development, teaching, training, and content development. And the best part is she loves maths. Trust me, she loves maths, and she's made it very easy for a lot of students with amazing tricks that she has out there. And at Galvanize, we are really glad and lucky to have her as the curriculum manager, because she's been helping students with her amazing tips and tricks to get amazing scores for your quant section out there. And with that, I would request Sowmiya ma'am to quickly start with the session.
Thank you, Ramya. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody. So let me share my screen. I hope you all can see my screen. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I hope you are all familiar with the TOEFL enhancements that has happened so far, right? July 26th was the TOEFL enhancement. The test was shortened. Similarly, GRE also, the test has been shortened quite very much. In fact, the 3 hours, 45 minutes test has been reduced to close to just 1 hour, right? Approximately 1 to 2 hours. 1 hour, 58 minutes is the actual test reduction. So a quick look at what are the changes that are going to happen in the new GRE. So there is a reduced duration, number of sections. Initially, it used to be 5 sections. One was unscored. Unscored in the sense that was for ETS to understand, get some inputs about the questions that they have framed, and to find out if those questions can be given for other future test users, right? That has also been removed. It's just 4 sections, but the basic characteristics remains the same. It's section-wise adaptive. Now, one very good thing is normally, right, it's a reading section that pulls the score down for most of the students in GRE. Most of the students seem to be doing quant better than the English section. So one good update from ETS is that in the AWA analytical writing session, there'll be just 1 essay instead of 2 essays, and that is for a duration of 30 minutes. And then earlier it used to be 2 to 3 sections, right? It could be a verbal, quant, and verbal quant. It be alternating between verbal and quant. It could be 2 sections or 3 sections of quant, or 2 sections of verbal or 3 sections of verbal, right? Depending on what unscored section it is. It could be a quant section or verbal section. Since the unscored section has been removed in the current new GRE, we'll have just 2 sections of quant and 2 sections of verbal. And then number of questions, verbal section, right? Per section, you'll have 40 to 60 questions that have to be answered in 60 to 90 minutes for verbal. Earlier, now it's 27 questions in 41 minutes. Now the 27 questions is split in 2 sections, right? So the first section will have 12 questions. The second section will have 15 questions. Similarly for quant, first section will have 12 questions. Second section will have 15 questions. So the total duration for the verbal section is 41 minutes and 47 minutes. That's a great reduction in the timings. So roughly you would have, say, 1.7 minutes per question as against the time limit that was allotted earlier. Now, earlier, the score reporting was 10 to 15 calendar days. They've made it more student-friendly. So now, right now, the estimated time for getting your score report, official score report, is 8 to 10 calendar days, which is actually a good sign, because you can start applying to the universities as soon as you get your score. Now, what features remain the same? As I told you, it's still going to be section-based adaptive. There's been a lot of concern from the students if the question types would vary or the pattern of the questions would vary. Nothing is going to vary, except the duration of the test and the AWA, which is going to be just 1 essay. Nothing else is going to vary. You still have your on-screen calculator. You still have, section-based adaptivity. You still have the basic question types in quant, like, for example, MCQs, MAQs. You have your quantitative comparison questions. You still have your numeric entry questions. You will have your data interpretation questions. These would be spread across those 27 questions in quant. Similar in verbal, you will have an RC passage, TC text completion questions. You will have your sentence equivalence questions, all those critical reasoning questions. Everything will be there as it is, like how we have in the current GRE pattern. Same thing exists for the shorter version also. right? And one good thing is, one enhancement has been that you could pay the fees, right, in your local currency. So earlier it used to be like you have to pay the GRE fee in dollars, but then of late they have been like making it so easy for the students, right? You can pay it in the local currency. For students who are taking the India, it will cost around 16,900 rupees, the Indian currency. So you could always pay it in the local currency. That's one more, advantage of this shorter version. They are making so many enhancements. Again, the scaled score, the raw score, scale score conversion, right? So the scale score is 130 to 170 range for each section, verbal and quant, and 130 and then to 170. So the overall score still remains at 260 to 340, which means, so you just go to the test center, sit and just come out of the test center, you're going to get a score of 260. Right? I mean, this is a very, this is a advantage of GRE. Maybe they don't want students to feel that getting a zero and all that, right? That zero phobia and all that. So they still say that you just go to the center, sit and come back, you're still getting the 260, not to say that you are getting a zero, right? So the GTS is basically a student-friendly organization, that's what I would say. Now coming to the split up of the question state, analytical writing is just one task, and the time taken is 30 minutes. Quantitative reasoning section is 12 questions, one section in 21 minutes. It will still alternate between the verbal and the quant sections. Okay, right. Now, apart from this, if you have lots of other questions in GRE, right, you could always look at this. This is a list of frequently asked questions, right? That they have comprehensively put this frequently asked questions. That's by ETS, where you have most of the questions are answered in this. This is a PDF. Almost all the questions that students normally have, right? All these questions are answered in this PDF. So you could always look at that, check that. Now coming to this quantitative section, as I told you, right, the number of questions is also reduced. The time limit is also reduced. It's going to be just 27 questions. It's going to be 12 questions and 15 questions. And the time duration for each split up, as you can look at it, the first section will have 21 minutes, 12 questions to be solved in 21 minutes. And the second quantitative section, you will have 15 questions to be solved in 26 minutes. So roughly, if you look at it, right, it could be like 1.75 minutes per question. That is the time that is you can allot per question. And you should not normally take that full time to solve that question. So we normally advise the students to solve it within that time. So 1 minute, take 1 to 1.5 minutes per question and try to solve it. So time management. So what are the aspects that are very much required for a test prep? When you want to crack a competitive exam like GRE, a timed exam like GRE, right? Timed test like GRE. What are the things that are required? One is mastery of the concepts. If you look at the syllabus for GRE Quant, it's a basic syllabus, something that you had learned in your probably in your high school or your middle school, right? You have arithmetic, algebra, data analysis, and then you just have your basic geometry, very basic stuff. You don't have advanced calculus, you don't have trigonometry. I mean, even SAT tests on trigonometry, but GRE doesn't test on trigonometry. The reason is like students who are taking GRE come from a variety of backgrounds. There could be students who have like done their math only till their grade 10, and they would have shifted their to pure science group, and then they would have gotten into a bio group or something like that, right? And they would have lost touch with math. And that could be working professionals. After a few years gap, they would have again, they would be taking this GRE test on. So to cater to all genres, all categories of students, all students from variety of backgrounds, they have made it very simple. The syllabus per se is very simple. So what makes GRE different from the normal test that you take? It is the way the questions are framed, the approach towards that question. So unfortunately, right, how I've been trained to solve a problem. Solving a problem by itself is an art. I mean, you just can't anybody can't just solve a problem. There's a way to solve a problem, right? That too, when you have a time constraint like this, there's a way to solve the problem. So unfortunately, we have been taught or tutored that way that when you look at a question, read the question, start answering. So you will not solve it that way in GRE. That methodology will not help. Some approaches you might have to unlearn and relearn. For example, quantitative comparison question, you should not take more than a minute to solve. So last webinar, if you had attended, right, I would have focused most on the quantitative comparison questions. And then, which means that we should not take more than 1 minute. This clearly means that you will not use any formula to solve any quantitative comparison questions. Are you taking pattern according to the new GRE pattern or the old one? See, question types remain the same. That's what I'm just trying to say, Disha. The question types still remain the same. Nothing is changing except the duration of the test. So the old pattern and the new pattern will have the same question types. It's a multiple choice, multiple answer, quantitative comparison, numeric entry data. All these questions types still remain the same. They're also equally distributed. Okay. So quantitative comparison question, as I just told you, don't follow the routine approach. You might have to unlearn and relearn the strategy to solve a question, quantitative comparison question, right? Similarly for multiple choice and multiple answer question, the most effective way to solve a multiple choice question or a multiple answer question could be back substitution and elimination techniques, rather than looking for an answer, right? Working out for the correct answer. Right? The answers are there in front of you. The answer choices are there in front of you. So all you have to do is weed out the wrong answer. You will get the correct answer. So this strategy not only works for quant, it also works for verbal. These are common strategies that you will follow both for verbal and quant. For that matter, for any test prep, right? Whatever test prep you plan to take, whether it's GMAT or GRE, these multiple choice questions follow this elimination technique, weeding out the incorrect answer. The correct answers will be there in front of you. And then don't follow an analytical approach of solving it. Nobody is going to give you marks for your steps, right? Nobody's going to give you step marks. So don't make it so descriptive and all that. Try to apply strategies as much as possible. Stick on to this time. This is the time limit for any question, our maximum time limit that you could allot for a question. But if you look at the mock test that we have on our platform, right, we make sure that students do it within that 22 minutes or 1 minute. We make it very tight. So then the actual GRE, you have a lot of time even to revise per section. That is how much time students normally have who have taken the mock test from us. Okay. Now coming to this real problem solving, MCQs and MAQs. So before we dwell into it, I want everybody to have a paper and pen with you. It's going to be a live problem solving. I'll be throwing a problem. I'll give you the time allotted for the problem. So within that time, you will have to post the answers. You could all post the answers in the chat box. And then after this time is over, I'll start explaining that problem. This is how it's going to be. I hope you're all ready with a paper and pen. Are we ready to go? Yes? Okay. Let's start with this. This is a 1.5 minutes question. It costs MRP dollars to make each of her custom bracelets, which she sells. She makes a profit of $60 if she makes and sells 5 of these, and she only makes a profit of $10, makes 5 bracelets, but only sells 4 of them. How much does it cost MR to make each bracelet? The time starts. It has already started. You could all post the answers in the chat box. Feel free to post the answers in the chat box. So at the end of the time, I will start revising and reviewing the answers and also discuss this. What is the best strategy to adopt to solve this problem? Yes? You can all post your answers. "40 seconds more, 38 seconds more. The timer is running. I'm not seeing anybody posting their answers. Please feel free to post the answers. It's going to be an interactive session. That is what this session is all about. Making you get a feel of how the question types would be and how much time you should dedicate for that question, devote for that question. I've not got any answers so far. Guys, you can always post your messages, post your answers. One fellow has got the answers. Yes. Okay, fair enough. So I've got one answer so far. The answer says 38. 38 is the right answer, Karthikeyan. Very good. Let's see how to solve this problem. Right. So this is a word problem, right? It's a very common confusion how to solve the word problems. At Galvanize, we teach this mnemonics called as PIE, PI. Break the problems into parts, connect and collect the information, frame an equation. Albert Einstein, the great physicist, once said that it takes 99% of your time to comprehend a problem, just 1% to answer the problem. Once you frame the equation, solving it is very, very simple. It takes a few seconds for you to solve the problem. So here, it costs MRP dollars to make each of her custom bracelets. So first line gives you the cost price, right? The cost price of each of her custom bracelets. So cost price of one bracelet is P dollars. That's given to you. And then she sells it at M dollars per bracelet. So selling price of one bracelet is M dollars. That is also given to you. That's the second part of the first line. She makes a profit of $60. So that would be M minus P and sells. If she makes and sells 5 of these bracelets, she only makes a profit of $10. If she makes 5 bracelets, but only sells 4 bracelets. So let us try to break this sentence. She makes a profit of $60 if she makes and sells 5 of these bracelets. So that's first part of the sentence. So 5 times M minus P is equal to 60. That would be the conversion of this statement into this mathematical expression, right? 5 times M minus P is equal to 60. Then next part is, if she makes 5 bracelets, but only sells 4 bracelets, right? So she's going to, the cost price will be for 5 bracelets, but the selling price would be only for 4 bracelets. That will be 4M minus 5P. That would be the profit. That is equal to 10. That's the next part of the statement. Right? How much does it cost MR to make each bracelet? The question is, what is the value of P? So you have converted this into a system of equations in 2 variables, right? You could solve it by any method that you want to. You could use your substitution method, elimination method, or any technique that you're familiar with and solve this. So system of linear equation in 2 variables is a very important topic in GRE Quant. Clear? I hope you all understood this. I want people to be very active in this session. Please post your answers. Even if your answer is wrong, it's perfectly fine, because I'm here to help you out. Because this session is about making you understand how to apply the strategies to solve the problems. So this is just a 1.5 minutes problem, but actually this can be solved within a minute. Yeah. Next question. The original cost of a coat was increased by 40% at the beginning of 2020. The new price was reduced by 20%. The cost remained at this reduced price. Chris had a coupon for a $50 discount and people used this to buy the coat at the further reduced price. There was no tax or additional cost for the price if purchase. If Chris paid $95.60 for the coat, what would be the original price of the coat? Right? This is very similar to the previous problem. Break it into parts and start solving it. It's a 2-minute problem because it might take some time for you. There's a percentage related questions. A little bit of calculation is involved. So start doing it. Time starts. Please post your answers. The last sections, every session that I do with this like live problem solving sessions, all those students have been very, very interactive. They used to post the answers. So even if your answer is wrong, it's perfectly fine. Please post your answer. I'm here to help you out. Timer is running. Maximum 2 minutes to solve this problem because it might take some time to do some kind of calculations here, if at all it's required. Otherwise, also you could do it algebraically. There are several ways to approach this problem. I'll teach you both the ways here. I don't see anybody posting their answers. Can you just post your answers? Hello, guys. So I saw that many of you are preparing for the test, which means that you should be in a position to post the answers fast. The same fellow is posting the answer. Okay. So I have two more people joining to give the answers. Okay. Anybody else with any other answer? Okay. We still have time, 20 seconds more. So all of you who have posted this answer as 138, option E and all that, are you sure your answer is right? Okay. So it's almost time. Still have only 4 to 5 people have posted this. Okay, that's very good to know. Okay, how do you solve this problem? The original cost of coat was increased by 40% at the beginning of 2023. Let's start with the normal algebraic way of solving the problem, right? Original price I've taken it as X. there's an increase by 40%, right? That would be 41.4 times X. And then there is a decrease by 20%. From a 1.4X, it decreases by 20%. So the price would actually be 0.8 times 1.4. That will be 1.4 times X. I'm sorry. That will be equal to 1.12X. Now coming to Chris. Chris had a coupon for a $50 discount. And then he used this coupon at the further reduced price, and he paid $95.60 with the reduction, right? With the discount. So 1.12X minus 50 is equal to 95.60. So you solve for X, you would get approximately the answer as 130. This is one approach to this problem. So can I have one of you who have given the right answer? Maybe Karthikeyan, did you follow this approach? What was the approach that you followed? Or did you go for back substitution? Karthikeyan, what kind of approach did you follow for this problem? You could follow this normal way. This is a routine way of solving the problem, right? Start with an algebra, start with the original price. That is what you want. So that will be a decision variable. You call it as X and then proceed with the problem. Okay, no issues. So another way of solving the problem is try to estimate from the answer choices that's given. So if you look at it, we have 92, 50, 100, 104, 80.83, 120, and 130. Which of these could be the original price of the code? So as I told you, back substitution and elimination methods are the easiest way to solve MCQs. Now, when you do the back substitution or elimination, right, kind of you need to judge which answers. You can't just do all these 5. It'll be time consuming for this particular problem. So kind of you have to judge which answer can I start with, right? It's kind of trial and error method. Which answer can I start with to apply it and then go for back substitution? Back substitution is a reversal of the step. Go from the last part of the statement to the first part of the statement and come back to the answer that the answer has to be 130. Let's look at this. How we start with 130. How do we judge what answer do we start with? What is the best option to substitute, right? Now, if you look at this, it says that this Chris paid $95.60 with a discounted price, right? That would mean that 95 plus 0.60 plus a 50 would give me roughly around $145, right? So the price actually $145. Now, there has been some kind of reduction, 20%, and there has been increase by 40%. The one that has been closer to this 145 in this thing, right? Even if you do this reduction or an increase of 40%, all that, the value has to be a little closer to 145. If you look at all these answer choices given, only 130 is closer to 145. So that is how you will estimate or check which answer to start with. Which answer choice do I start with to plug in or back substitute? Let's start with 130 because of this conclusion, right? We have concluded that because there's a discount and he's paying 95.60, this gives us a slight feeling that maybe the answer is closer to 140. So we start with a 130, right? And then 130, with that 130, there is an increase of 40%. That will give you 182. And then for the 182, there is a decrease of $20. That will give me 145.60. There was a discount of $50 on this. That will give me a 95.60 on dot. Clear? This is how you will approach some of the MCQs like this, which is actually not very time consuming if you follow this right method. Clear? Back substitution. Even when you back substitute, you need to understand or find out which answer choice do we start with to do the back substitution. If you do all the 5 answer choices, right, for this particular question, it might not work. I mean, in the sense, it might take a little longer time. So kind of estimate which answer choice do we start with, right? I hope you have understood this. Those have not got the answer. Shall we move on to the next question? Question number 3. This is a 30 seconds question. The time starts now. A very simple question on modulus, absolute values. So for this, you need to know what an absolute value here is. It's absolute value of, it's a double absolute value. There's a modulus inside modulus. Just a 30-second problem because it's like very, very simple problem. Time up. So how do you approach this problem? There are some answers given here, right? Karthikeyan says -5. -5 is not the right answer. Let's see which one is the right answer. -5, let's say it's the right answer. Okay. So what is the best approach to this problem? The question is asking about the value of x, and there are some answer choices given here. So which means instead of solving this the right analytical way, right, removing the modulus and all that, the best way to solve this problem is back substitution. You don't have to go and search for x elsewhere. The x's are given here. Take these x's, put it back into the question, see which one fits it. For example, you start with a 9. Modulus of 9 minus 2 is equal to 7. You start from the inner mod to the outer mod. So if you start with a 9, option A, if you look at this, you substitute 9 minus 2. So plug in this 9 for x. It's absolute value of 9 minus 2, which is equal to 7. 2 minus 7 is equal to 5. That is not equal to 7. Therefore, it's eliminated. So it cannot be, x cannot take the value 9. Hope, Bishal, Sin, did you understand this? I've just substituted this 9 here. 9 minus 2 will give you 7. 2 minus 7 would give you a 5 here and not a 7. Clear? Right. Now, option B was 7. Try to plug this in back here. 2 minus modulus of 7 minus 2, that would give me absolute value of 2 minus 5, which would give me 3. Obviously, that's not equal to 7. Therefore, this is also eliminated. Now, go for option C, -7. So, 2 minus absolute value of -7 minus 2. -7 minus 2 has to be -9. Right? Absolute value of that will be +9. Therefore, it's absolute value of 2 minus 9, which is equal to 7. Here, this is the correct answer. Understood? So you should, what is it that you should be little careful about is removing from the inner modulus to the outer modulus. So the absolute value, when you plug it in, you have to be really careful here. Very common is mistake here is this part. Students tend to think of it as just brackets and put it as 2 plus 9, which is wrong. It's absolute value of -7 minus 2, right? -7 minus 2. That will be absolute value of -9, which will be +9. And then the modulus of absolute value of 2 minus 9 is equal to 7. Clear? So this is the right part that you need to be little careful about. Otherwise, this is one of the simplest problems. Just go for back substitution. Clear? I hope I'm clear. Those have got it wrong. Karthikeyan, hope your doubts are resolved here. The answer is options. Yeah, good. We'll start with the next one. The product of x and y is 36. If both x and y are integers, then what is the least possible value of x minus y? Your time starts now. This is again a 30-second question. As always, post your answers. Even if it's wrong, it's perfectly fine because I'm here to teach you. Students have started posting the answer. Very good. So this is actually takes lesser than 30 seconds, in fact. Okay. Right. So there'll be several answer choices. Almost people have, students have given almost all the answer choices possible. And most of you have given C as the right answer choice. The answer choice is actually C. So what are the things that you need to observe here? The question says, what is the least possible value of x minus y? So that is something that you need to look for. When you have a difference of two numbers, when will that be least? Difference of two numbers, when will that be least? When x is very, very less and y is very, very high. This is the greater you go, the more you increase y and the more you reduce x, right? X minus y will be least. Clear? You have to reduce x as much as possible, increase y as much as possible. This type of question is very, very common in GR. Even last webinar, I talked about least possible integers when we talked about medians and standard deviation, all that, right? So this making it least or giving the maximum possible integers, these are all very common questions in GRE. So how do you approach that? So you just have to understand that when you want a difference to be least, the first value has to be as less as possible. The second value has to be as high as possible when you have the difference here. So how do I make it as less as possible and as high as possible? X and y are integers. So you look at 36, right? So 36, the possibility would be 36 is equal to 1 times 36. These are the factors of 36. So the other factors would be 2 times 18. The third factor would be 3 times the 12, and so on. So if you look at it, 1 and 36 are the two factors which satisfy this condition that X has to be the least and Y has to be the greatest. So substitute that here, 1 minus 36 is equal to negative 35. Out of these given options, the answer has to be option C. I hope I'm clear, right? Good job. Most of you have got it C. Very good job. Karthikeyan, did you understand this? I hope so. People who have got it wrong, did you understand this logic behind this? Okay, good. Question number 5. This is again a very simple question. If you know what is a prime number, what is a composite number, and all that, which of the following cannot be expressed as sum of two prime numbers? Time starts now. Cannot be expressed. So this is a very important watchword. Cannot is a very important watchword. Karthikeyan, I would suggest that you think a little bit and try to answer this question. Yes, good. I'm waiting for the answers. Time up. Okay. Some of you have posted C, some of you have posted D, some of you have given 79, some of you have given 19. Okay. So what is it that you need to understand here? Sum of two prime numbers. So you need to know something about divisibility test, but very basic tests of divisibility, right? You don't have to necessarily go for a divisibility test for 23, basic divisibility test you need to know and understand what are all the prime numbers that are possible. So start with the simplest prime number that you know of. What is the least prime number that you know? You have to remember that the least prime number is the number 2. So that is something the students don't consciously, internalize that an even prime number. This is the only even prime number known so far. All other prime numbers are odd numbers. So if you start with the least prime number 2, let's say 19. So 2 plus 17 is equal to 19. Therefore, 19 can be expressed as sum of two prime numbers. 17 is a prime number, 2 is a prime number. Therefore, this answer is not the correct answer because the question is asking cannot be. Clear? Now go for 45. Similarly, start with the 2. Start with least prime numbers first. Now 2 plus 43 would give me 45. 2 and 43 both are prime numbers. Therefore, this cannot be the right answer. Clear? Because this can be expressed as the sum of two prime numbers. So A and B are eliminated now. Now, go for, when you have 2 as a prime number, the rest of the prime number has to be odd, right? Odd plus an even number would always give me an odd number. So when we start with the 2, let's look at D. 2 plus 77 will give me 79, right? 2 and 77. These are only 2 is a prime number, 77 is not a prime number. Therefore, D could be a possible answer choice for this, right? Still, we have not nailed down the correct answer. D could be a possible answer choice. Let's look at C and E also. C is an even number. Even number should be a sum of two odd numbers can be the even number. I could always start with the 3. 3 is the simplest odd prime that you know of. 3 plus 65 doesn't work out, right? Go for the next odd number, which is 5, right? Odd prime is 5. 5 plus 63 again doesn't work out because 63 is a composite number. Go for 7. 7 plus 61, right? That is it. So it can be represented as the sum of two prime numbers. Again, start with the 88. If you look at it, 88 can be written as 85 plus 3. Again, 85 is a composite number. So let's see if 88 can be written as any other way. It can be written as 81 plus 7, or how else can you write 88 as a sum of two prime numbers? Anybody? If it's 83 plus 85, that will not work out because 85 is not a prime number. If it's 5 plus 83, right? So you could write 88 as 5 plus 83, sum of two prime numbers. So the only answer choice here is 79. The only way it can be written is that prime numbers would be 2 plus 77. If at all, it's written as a prime number plus some other number. The second number has to be a composite number. There's no other way you can write it because this is an odd number, right? You can't write it as a sum of two odd numbers. That is ruled out. So one number that you are looking for has to be an even number. The only even prime number has to be the number 2. If you start with 2, the next number has to be a composite number because 2 plus 77 is the only way it can be written as the sum of one prime number. The other has to be a non-prime number. Clear? So it's the basic concept of prime numbers and composite numbers. That is what you need to know to answer this problem. And then understand that odd plus odd is even plus odd is equal to odd number. Clear? I hope most of you got the answer wrong. Now understood this. Clear? Okay. Shall we move on to the next question? Yeah. So this is about quadratic equation. Parabolas are often tested these days in GRE. Your time starts now. It's a 45 seconds question because sometimes students get confused with the concept of parabolas. A quadratic equation. When the quadratic function f is graphed in the xy plane, its graph has y-intercept and 2 distinct positive y-intercept and 2 distinct negative. Which of the following could be the equation? Timer starts. Just a 45 seconds question. 20 seconds more. If you understand the meaning of x-intercepts, you understand the meaning of y-intercept, then this is the simplest problem to solve. So as I told you, concept clarity is a must when you want to crack a competitive exam like GRE. I've just got one answer so far. Yeah, 2 answers. Answers coming out. Okay. Time up. D is the right answer. Let's see how D is the right answer. So what are the things that you need to look for? What are the keywords that you need to look for in the question? This is a quadratic. Obviously, it's a second degree polynomial, right? Now, its graph has positive y-intercept. What is a y-intercept? Y-intercept is that point at which the curve cuts the y-axis. That is, the point at which any curve cuts the y-axis will have the x-coordinate to be 0. So these are the fundamental concepts in coordinate geometry. So you should be really, really thorough with the fundamentals of coordinate geometry. You don't have to go a little deeper into it. Just the introduction to coordinate geometry, basic coordinate geometry, right? The intercepts, the concept of intercepts. Y-intercept is the point on the y-axis where the curve cuts the y-axis. So the x value has to be 0. So among these 4 options, A, B, C, and D, if you substitute x is equal to 0, it says positive y-intercepts. Out of these 4 options, which one will give you a positive y-intercept? So A is eliminated. A would give you a negative y-intercept. It could be B, it could be C, or it could be D. It could be B, C, or D. So A is eliminated now. Out of B, C, and D, we have to find out the second part of the question. Second part of the question says 2 distinct negative x-intercepts. X-intercepts means it is the roots of this quadratic polynomial, right? Roots or zeros of the function. Zeros is the value, when you substitute it, the function vanishes at those points. So x-intercepts are the zeros of this function. That is something that you should know. So 2 negative x-intercepts. So it has to be of the form, the factors have to be the form x minus a times x minus b. Here. So out of these B, C, and D, which one is of that form? And it also has to be distinct. So the only possibility is option D. Here, that is how you have to nail down this question. So what are the concepts that you should be knowing here? The concept that you should be knowing here is about y-intercept. What is a x-intercept? That's all. Nothing to do with vertex of the parabola, focus, lattice, rectangle, all those things not required at all for GRE. Very basic concepts of parabola will be tested. That's about the vertex and also about the intercepts. Clear? Shall we move on to the next question? Yeah. This is again a 45 seconds question. In fact, this can be solved within 30 seconds. The time starts now. Very simple question. The question is asking what is the correct expression for f of x? Very simple question. If you apply one of the strategies that anyway I'm going to teach you now. Always GRE Quant, you should rely on the strategies rather than the formal analytical way of solving the problem. Any hook or crook method is going to help you to crack GRE. So students who have got a 170 in GRE might not be masters in mathematics given all the time in the world. They will not be able to solve these problems, right, or get a centum, but then they know the tactics to solve this. Time up. The options coming out. Students are saying B, some of you are saying C. Anybody else? Any other answer? Okay. So ideally, these kinds of problems, right? See, most all of us like to play with numbers rather than with variables like this. None of us want to have variables. Look at variables. So what is the best way to approach this problem? Replace the variables here with numbers, small numbers, right? So let's say, let me substitute this x is equal to 0. So if I substitute x is equal to 0 here, right, in the question, I would get a f of 0 is equal to 3 times f of 0 by -1 plus 1, right? Just substitute x is equal to 0. So when I solve it, that is x is equal to 0, if I just solve it, I will get f of 0 is equal to 1 over 4. I end up with f of 0 is equal to 1 over 4. When x is equal to 0, f of 0 is equal to 1 over 4. Look at the answer choices. See which ones will give you a 1 over 4 when x is equal to 0. So answer A is eliminated, answer B is eliminated, answer C, yes, possible, but because when x is equal to 0, it's 1 over 4. Answer D is eliminated, answer E also gives you 1 over 4. But unfortunately, this is a multiple choice question. So only one of the answer choices should be right. So we have already eliminated A, B, and D now. We are left with the C and D. We substituted x is equal to 0 and found that C and E are the best fit for this function, right? But why not substitute one more value and check? Substitute x is equal to 1 and see if you can eliminate between C and D. When you substitute x is equal to 1, f of 1 is equal to 3 times f of 1 plus 2, which implies f of 1 will give you a -1. Now, between C and D, which one will give you a -1 when x is equal to 1? Option C would be the right answer. This is the best way of solving this problem. If you approach this right, any question, excuse me, which has got variables in the question, replace them with small numbers, plug in small numbers and check, then the problem becomes much, much easier for you. Because looking at a function like this, right, definitely students get confused and they might make a mistake in taking the LCM, cross multiplying, simplifying and all that. But if you plug in numbers, simple choice of numbers like zeros and 1, this is the best way to solve such kinds of questions. I hope I'm clear. Right? Karthikeyan, is the answer clear now? Okay. Shall we move on to the next question? Question number 8. I'm sorry, number is wrong. If x square is equal to y square, then which of the following must be true? Select all that apply. Your time starts now. This is again, I've given it as 45 seconds question, but it's actually a 30 seconds question if you approach it the way I solved the previous question. Which of the following must be true? Remember that clause, that must be is a very important watchword here. It's not like can be true, it's must be true, which means it has to work for all kinds of numbers. Even if for one example, it doesn't hold good, it doesn't hold good. Okay, so which means your choice of numbers should be really, really good here. Randomly, you can't just give an answer and then plug in some numbers. Make wise choice of plugging in numbers. So at Galvanize, we teach you some concept called as zone F, the best way of plugging in numbers. Right? Okay. Let's see how many of you have got it right. I've got people giving the answers A, B, D, and E, B and D, D and E. Okay. Let's see which of the following must be true. As I told you, right, it has to be true for all the values that we are going to plug in. Now, let's say, when I told you that we at Galvanize, we teach something called a zone F. What is zone F? Zone F is a structured way of plugging in numbers. If you enroll with Galvanize, there are lots of videos talking about zone F, especially quantitative comparison questions, right? Or when you have to manipulate with variables like this, zone F helps you a lot. Instead of randomly plugging in numbers or thinking of numbers to plug in, right? So the best way is go from zeros, ones, and then negative numbers, extremes, fractions, and so on. That way you will not miss out on any numbers. Here, x square is equal to y square is equal to given. It's given to you. The question is, would x is equal to y, or x is equal to y square by x, or x is equal to modulus of y, or absolute value of x is equal to absolute value of y, or x is equal to plus or minus y. Now, let me put your x is equal to -1 and y is equal to 1. As I told you, I'm going to apply the zone of properly here. Ones and negative ones. O stands for 1 and stand for negative numbers. So let me put x is equal to -1, y is equal to 1. If I do that, obviously option A is eliminated. X is not equal to y. Sowmiya Franklin Chatla, I hope you're clear. So option A is eliminated here. Now go for option B. When you substitute x is equal to -1, -1 is equal to 1 over -1. Want x square is equal to y square. When you cross multiply, you get that x square is equal to y square. Okay, so B could be a right answer. Let us hold it because it's a multiple answer question. And then x is equal to modulus of y. Obviously not, because you started with x is equal to -1 and this right hand side is a positive number. Therefore, it cannot be true. So C is eliminated. So with that, x is equal to -1, y is equal to 1. You have already eliminated option E, you have already eliminated option C. Option D is true. X is equal to -1, mod y is equal to 1, mod x is equal to mod y is true, obviously. And x is equal to plus or minus y is obviously true because x could be -1 or +1. Clear? So you have D and E to be true, B also to be true. So students, I mean, some of you have given the answer only as D and E. Can we have it from Akash? Why did you not choose B? And Sahiti? You have not chosen B. You have given only D and E as answers. Is there any particular reason why you have not chosen B? X is equal to y square by 6 by x. There is no restriction on x. For x is equal to 0, it does not serve. Excellent. So the right answer for this would be D and E because there is no restriction here on x. That's a wonderful point here. You could always substitute x is equal to 0, right? But when x is equal to 0, y square over 0 is not even defined. It doesn't satisfy at all. Very good, Akash. Okay, so x is equal to 0 is not true. I mean, you can't have the value to be true for x is equal to y square by x when x is equal to 0 because it's not even defined that. But then here it must be true for some integers. But it's not true even for one integer, we're going to eliminate that. Therefore, B is eliminated. Excellent. So the only answer would be D and E. D and E are the right answers. Clear? Hope I'm clear. Okay, good. Right. 8th question. If 8 is greater than or equal to 2, is that +4 greater than or equal to -2? Which of the following must be true? Give all the possible answer choices. The time starts now. It's a 45-second question. Again, don't go for the formal way of solving it. As much as possible, go for back substitution. Look at what is given in the answer choices. The way you proceed should be according to the answer choices given and not from the question. Always remember that in GRE. Just 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7, 6, 5, 4. It's almost time. Okay. So some of you have given A, C, D. Some of you have given B and D. Okay. A, C, D. Okay. So what is the premise of doing such a kind of problem? First thing is when you have range of values here, remember that when something works for a superset, it works for the subset also. It works for a set, right? For example, if you look at this, first try to understand which one of these are containment relations, right? See if one option can be contained in the other option. For example, when you look at see option C, -3 to 1, obviously option D is contained in option C. So if option C is true, option D should always be true. Clear? Not the other way. If option D is true, option C need not be true. But if option C is true, option D should definitely be true. Similarly, if you look at A and E, right, you can see that you can identify that A is contained in E. Therefore, if it works for E, it has to work for E. So this kind, first understand the kind of containment relation. This will help you not to miss out on the answer choices. For example, if you may mark this answer choice C as correct, then you have to definitely mark D also as right. So if at all you mark E as right, then definitely A also has to be right. So that way you will not miss out on the answer choices. First, understand the containment relation in such kinds of range questions. Then go for plugging in the extreme values. So now we are left with option B. Let's start with option B and then move on to the containments for this. Option B, -4 and 0. Start with the extreme values, -4 and 0. Plug it in and see if that satisfies. For x is equal, z is equal to -4, does it satisfy this relation? This would give me 8 is greater than or equal to, that will be -4 greater than or equal to -2. It doesn't satisfy. Therefore, B is eliminated. Clear? Now, the other option that was left out was, if you look at it, B, C. You have to check for C option, because then if you check for C, if C holds good, right, then obviously which other option would hold good? You can see that D will always be holding good, because D is contained in C. So C, check for C, substitute -3 and 1 and check. What do you see here? Option C, if you look at it, this does satisfy this inequality. So if C is true, obviously what other option was true? We saw that if C is true, obviously D is true. So you don't have to go and check for D. So C and D are obviously the right answers now. Now check for option E. If E is true, then A should also be true. Check for option E. What do you get? Z is equal to -1 satisfies this. So what do you get here? But then Z is equal to 3 does not satisfy. If you look at E, right, the lower limit satisfies, but the upper limit does not satisfy. So which means if E is true, then A is true. But then E is not true, but doesn't mean that A is not true. Clear? It's a contrapositive statements kind of thing. So therefore, again, go and check for option E. 0 and 2. Substitute the 0 and 2 and check. What do you get? A also satisfies. Therefore, A, C, and D are the right options. Clear? This is how you will find out the containment. So start with the containment. Look for which options are contained in which option, which range is contained in which other range. That way, you don't have to check for all the ranges here. Clear? So when you have to check, look for the extreme values first. Right? If it works for the extreme values, then it has to work for any value inside that. Clear? This is how you will approach this kind of problem. Okay. Having said this, we have got lots of 2,400 plus problems on our portal. So how do our portal works, right? We have like study materials. So for every question in quant, right, we will have one explanation and also an alternative explanation. There will be 2 to 3 alternative explanations also, because as I told you at the starting, right, this caters to all kinds of students who need a refresher. So that could be a very long explanation, or that could be explanation with the strategies, a short explanation for every question on the portal. And then there are videos for every topic. There'll be every topic. If you look at this, this is a video on the summary of probability. It's taking time to load. So every topic will have videos that you can understand, that will walk you through from the basics. From the basics of sets of numbers to the higher level probability to the normal distribution. There are videos on all the topics on the platform. And for every student who is enrolled with us, like we have got all genres of students. Students could be a working professional, student could be a student could be studying in the college, or student could have taken a few days off to study, prepare exclusively for GRE. He has got all the time in the world. So for every type of student, we give a personalized study plan based on the target date. Suppose you just have 45 days available to prepare for GRE, we have a 45-day plan. Suppose you just have 15 days, we have a 15-day plan. So we will allot the task, spread the task according to the needs, like according to the time duration that is available for you, according to the time you can allot per day. If you're a working professional, obviously not more than 2 hours you'll be able to spend per day. For you, you might need a longer study plan, right? You might need probably a 90-day study plan or a 120-day study plan like that. So for every student, right, we have tailor-made study plans. So we will allot the task according to the day. Per day, this is the task that you need to do. Complete. And we have a dedicated course manager who will remind you of the number of tasks that you need to complete, or number of tasks that's pending, or when your mock test is, you will be sent reminders for the mock test. Now, on the mock test, we have lots of mock tests on the platform. For every test, we have a data analytics report like this. If you look at it, it's very, very detailed. They'll give you information about the number of questions that you skipped. And GRE, as you know, has no negative marking. There's no penalty for wrong answers, which means you have to make an intelligent guess and move on, right? So probability of getting it right is right. It will be very high if you make an intelligent guess. But then there's no point in skipping a question. right? So if you skip a question, you lose out the point. But if you, by chance, if your answer is right, you get 1 point for that. If it's wrong, you don't lose anything. Clear? So don't skip any question. So number of questions skipped, number of questions you got wrong, number of questions right, and the time spent on that. That is also given in detail. So this is a visual representation. And apart from your own time, right? What is the average time? How do you compare it with others? Where do you stand with it? This is an online platform, right? So when you, if it's a classroom, you would definitely know, teacher would tell you, hey, you are standing here, your rank is here, there, and so on. But on an online platform, how do you compare yourself, put yourself comparison with others? So this time, average time spent by the student for a particular question, you know that this fellow has spent 13 minutes, 14 seconds for the question. The average time is actually just 2 minutes. So this fellow would know that he has spent a lot of time on this question, and which means that he has to, such kinds of questions, you need a lot of practice in. Okay, that way you would know where you stand, what your pain points are. Apart from this, for every mock test, we give such a very detailed, personalized report based on the number of questions you have gone wrong, what questions you have gone wrong, question-wise feedback, and general inputs, right? You have to work on your RC passages, or you have to work on your multiple choice questions in quant, or which topics you are like lacking behind. It could be like just algebra, or even in algebra, what topic that you are lagging behind. It could be just linear equations. That level of personalized feedback report we give on the platform. If you're enrolled with us, every student who enrolls with us, for every mock test, we send such a highly personalized feedback report. Okay. Then coming to this. So apart from this, we also have a dedicated YouTube channel where you can look at the webinars that whatever webinars that we've been doing a series of webinars every month. You can look at that in the dedicated YouTube channel. Over to Ramya. Ramya, can you just share them the YouTube channel?
Yes, I've already shared in the chat box. I'm sharing it same again. So even today's webinar, in case you have missed or you would like to, go back and know how exactly we help, you could just subscribe to our channel, and you will find the link out there. So it's been shared in the chat box, and do subscribe so that any previous webinars also you can take a look at.
Okay. On that note, if you look at the way, right, I taught you some strategies here. When you have unknowns, you replace them with small numbers. Don't go for an analytical approach. Go for back substitution. So students with us, right, who are like students as good at IIT, Dhanbad and all that, these students who come to us, they start with a score of 162. So basically, even a 1 point or a 2 point improvement is very hard in quant, very hard in GRE. Right? That will, in fact, increase your percentage, boost your percentage. From a 162, this fellow has got a 170 in the actual GRE, taking the 5 mock tests, dedicated manner, applying the strategies, and also going through the study plan properly. Do it meticulously. If you do that, the success is all yours. You will definitely get, reaching this 170 is not a impossible task with all the what do I say, the material that is available on the portal. As I told you, even if you are from a non-engineering background or non-math background, right, we have videos that walk you through, refresh you from the basic topics also. It could be even fractions, decimals, ratio, proportion. These are very, very basic topics students need help with. We do have all those things on the platform. Clear? And then we have one more success story here. Apart from the normal 5 mock tests, we also offer extra mock tests in the form of 3 mock tests that you can take it. And then to have more practice, right? Just in case you exhaust the 5 mock tests within the duration of your study plan or within the target duration. And if you plan to extend your date of the exam, you can always avail the 3 more mock tests. So this student has taken all the mock tests and see the score. That's a wonderful score. The 6-point jump in the quant section, applying all the strategies, looking at all the materials on the platform, taking all the tests, like 2,400 practice questions on the platform. So which is a lot of practice for you. You don't have to go out for extra material to search, for preparing for your GRE Quant. All the strategies here, and most of the webinars also that we do, right, cover all the strategies that is required for every question type in quant. Okay, over to Ramya. Ramya?
Yes, sure, ma'am. So by this, I would like to give a short break to ma'am as well, wherein I would quickly like to help you run through about galvanize some of the success stories out there, how students, have been got their dream score out there. And that's how we go. So here we have. We have with us Amit Somani. Again, he scored, in his diagnostics test, he got 315, but in his actual GRE, he got 330. And that's how he's got amazing scores. Again, we have Harnav Preet, who's shown an amazing, score up from 298 to 324. Again, Rishabh from VIT out there. So we have these amazing students who have been, benefited from galvanized courses out there. And with that, I would also quickly like to, show for a next poll where I would like to understand how confident you feel about this, GRE quant section. I'm pretty sure a lot of you come from, a strong quant background. But again, we would like to understand, how confident you feel after this session out there. And, okay, I see a lot of them saying somewhat confident, not very confident. So I believe this thing can come to very confident with amazing and extensive practice, I would say. And with that, I would like to end the poll here, and I would quickly like to run another poll here. Well, before we dive into the details about how Galvanize can help you, we would want you to understand, how would you like to prepare for this exam? Would you like to go for a self-preparation, or you want to go for an online course, or, some personalized plan, like how Galvanize helps students, where Sowmiya ma'am showed, how amazingly it helps you for your preparation, be it day, night, wherever you are, you can actually practice whenever you have the time. So, great. I see a lot of them looking at online, in-person live classes, and many of them looking for an online course with a structured, personalized plan. Well, in that case, I would like to quickly run through, how Galvanize can help you. And then moving forward, we can take up the questions that we have for you. So as we mentioned earlier, that Galvanize does have mobile applications, but in case you are looking for an extensive practice, we do have online courses where it ranges right from a 45 days plan, where, in case a student is looking for a crash course, or, a short plan, you can go for that, or you have 3 months or 6 months. So we have courses based on the time that you have. And not only that, we do have admission counseling services by experts out there. But this is something which a lot of students do look at. That are the, what is the benefit of being with Galvanize? In that case, I can tell that, one most important thing is you get a personalized plan with unlimited Ask an Expert, where you can have all your content related doubts cleared by the experts. So in case you feel that any particular doubt has been answered, but still you're not confident, you feel that, you need a better explanation, or some, alternative explanation, yes, you can post that. And that's what we mean by unlimited Ask an Expert option out there. And you'll have extensive practice questions for all the questions, or all the sections that you will be coming across for your GRE prep out there. And yes, you will have updated pattern at most affordable rate with an easy way of learning out there. And if you are looking for an additional service with respect to admission services, where you would like to understand how exactly, admission counseling services happen at Galvanize, then we begin with the profile evaluation call, where a student's profile is analyzed in detail by an expert, where we come to know what are your interests, from what background you come, what are your plans for future. And based on that, we help you with university shortlisting, gradually moving towards documentation process, visa, and then, guiding you with the right loan providers out there, and helping you with the pre-departure activities, which generally comes after your visa process and everything, and you're ready to go. And we help you with the last minute, details out there in case you are falling short of information out there. Well, this is the profile evaluation ring, and I would urge you to fill in the form. For a couple of reasons. Number one, because you are still in the preparation mode, this profile evaluation form will help you understand, your profile in detail, because these experts will have amazing conversations with you. And then we will also guide you what are the next steps you need to take. Maybe if there are any shortcomings in your profile, how can you overcome that? And that's what happens in this profile evaluation call. And you can also get all your doubts cleared out there with respect to, maybe universities or countries, or maybe you're still confused, you want to switch your majors, any confusion that you have, please fill in this form, because this is a part of the course. But for the students, we do, especially for the webinar attendees, we give them as free. So this call will help you take one step ahead and, move towards your dream destination. I've shared the link in the chat box, and also do subscribe for our YouTube channel. Reason being, you want to, take a look at other webinars that Galvanize has conducted with some university experts, or by Galvanize about some countries, or anything that, that you have missed out. You could, go back and take a look at the YouTube channel out there. So do subscribe to Galvanize YouTube channel out there. And now we are open to the questions. So in case you have any questions about the quant section, please put it up in the chat box so that we could quickly get it cleared for you.
Yes, guys, any doubts, please post it here. I mean, anything related to GRE, enhanced GRE, the shorter version, or if you have any doubts related to quant, please feel free to post here. And as I told you, I've been telling you, the strategies that is very, very important to crack a competitive exam like GRE Quant. And if you enroll with us, lots of strategies like success stories. If you have looked at the success stories, that is testimonial that how our strategies have been helping the students. Because 320, getting a 300 or a 310 plus is a magic score for the students. And of course, 170 is that's what they aim for. Getting a 170 is quant is actually easy, and it's going to be all the more easier with the shorter test, because the time duration for the test is, the number of questions is just going to be 27 questions, 12 questions and 15 questions in each section. That's all.
So we have last couple of few minutes in case you have any questions, or if you want to, speak to our host for today, you could just raise your hand, and our person would unmute you, and you could ask your question out there, and we will be glad to answer that. So if you have any questions, please raise your hands, and we will unmute you. So but I don't see any much questions out there, but Sowmiya ma'am, would you like to share any last minute advice to the students out there?
Okay. So one thing is, if you are planning for a spring intake, right, better to take your GRE now. I think most of you would have taken the GRE, but if you plan to go for a fall intake, I would advise that you take the shorter version, because it's like more very, very student friendly. I hope you have all would have heard about this, the feedback given by the students who have taken this TOEFL. TOEFL has become, the time limit for TOEFL has also reduced, and students find it very, very easy now. Right. So similarly, GRE has also been made very student friendly, and student friendly in the sense, still you have to apply the strategies. Still, all these MCQs, MAQs, the quantitative, all these question types remain the same. The syllabus is also the same. You have to make a structured way of approaching the problem. That is what is very much required. And as I told you, if you enroll with us, lots of videos are there to help you out to understand what you need to do to unlearn and relearn. Unlearning and relearning is very, very important to crack a competitive exam like GRE. Very important to unlearn some approach and relearn, because as we have seen, we have been interacting with lots of students, right? So when we do the calls with the students, we always feel that, so towards the second mock test and third mock test, there'll be like what kind of sinusoidal wave in the first and second mock test. Then from the third mock test, it has to be an exponential growth. But then at the third and the fourth mock, they all come back to us in the fourth mock and say that I've been trying so hard, my score is just around 160. It's not increasing at all. You can get that 160 very easily if you know the concepts really well. But what differs a person from a 160 to a person who has got a 170? It is just application of the strategies. A person who has got a 170 might not be a master in math, but he knows how to apply the strategies effectively, what to look for in a word problem. Right? How to break the problem into parts. All those small nuances, small strategies, he would know to get that 170. Getting a 160 is very, very easy because of the syllabus. Syllabus is a very basic syllabus, right? But then from a 160 to 170, that is where the challenge is. So that you can overcome that challenge, provided you apply the strategies effectively. Okay, so any doubts, definitely there are like phone numbers, and then there's mail ID shared. You can always ring them and find out, get all your doubts clarified. And as Ramya put it, we have a exclusive YouTube channel where we have all the webinar videos in the YouTube channel, and you can go back and watch those videos also. Yeah. I think there are no more questions.
Yes.
Ramya? Yeah.
Yes. So I think by this we have come to the session. In case you feel that you would like to speak to us. These are the contact details. Please feel free to get in touch with us. We will be really glad to help you out there. On this note, I would like to thank Sowmiya ma'am for joining us today. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the webinar. And also thank you to the students who have been actively participating in this session today. All the very best, everyone. Thank you so much. Until
Thank you,
next time.
everyone. Thank you, Ramya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.